Hey guys, welcome to Tabletop Corner. Today I'm doing another Doctor Who miniatures set review in this instance because these are all opened. Today we are looking at the Sea Devils. Now first of all I'm going to apologise for this camera angle. For some reason my phone won't let me zoom in or out with either like camera option. So basically you've got the option of being really zoomed in on my hand to a point where you can like physically like feel my veins on your face, or we've got zoomed out so far that you can basically see my entire bedroom. So there's no this seemed like the better of the two options. Yeah, the Sea Devils, they're a very interesting faction in the Doctor Who miniatures game. They're probably the most popular faction from old Who that have not been revived. And it's like the character, I can't believe these haven't been revived. Actually, the character modeling is pretty good for back in those days, and as on the back we can see the sculpt look pretty nice as well, to be honest. This was a bit of a job by the costume department, and these were actually allies of the Master. So I kind of feel like these were like something they sort of thought were going to be a big deal when they were originally introduced, and then they've just not came back despite how much like old fan service they've been doing in recent years. Now, one thing I will say is this is a rather typical 3-figure expansion. So although it's very cool and it's very cheap, you do basically need 3 copies of it to make this worth having, or to play it to its best ability. You at least need 2 copies. Otherwise, you're basically subbing people in. But we'll get into why in a second. So first of all, we'll crack them open and take a look. I went through the effort of getting this lovely like space HeroClix map, so I had something like themed on the bottom of the desk, and you can't even like get a good angle on it. What a waste of time that was. Anyway, so we've got our adventure cards and recruitment cards, and we've got the miniatures in our little Gallifrey box. Today this package was packed by Ronnie again, and here are the miniatures. So we've got 3 different poses. This is the first. This is the second. Some incredible detail on these guys. And these are the third. Like I say, these are probably the most popular old Who villain in the game. The sculpts being this good is the reason why. Like, they look really good, and they're very interesting to play as well, so that definitely helps. But yeah, the sculpt is a large part of it. They are really cool dudes. We'll talk a little bit more about a little problem I have with the sculpt after we've had a look at the recruitment cards. So first of all, we have Sea Devil Overlord. Sounds like a perfectly fine place to start. As with most of these three figure packs, we get a leader, a sort of elite, and a grunt. So first of all, Sea Devil Overlord has 5 movement, 4 resilience, +3 melee dice, and +2 shooting dice. So he's got some pretty cool stats. He comes in with 2 fate tokens. He is a special character. He has wounds 1, he's unique, aquatic, concentrated fire, and force commander Sea Devil. So wounds 1, of course, means we can take 1 wound without dying. Unique, we can only have 1 Sea Devil Overlord. Aquatic we'll get onto in a second. Concentrate Fire we'll get onto in a second. And Force Commander Sea Devil, you can only use this guy on a team of Sea Devils. So, Aquatic, quite self-explanatory. Sea Devils may enter and move through water obstacles without penalty. They also gain cover against shooting attacks when in water. Now, as you may remember if you watched our Fires of Pompeii set, there is a rules card in there on how you can make water terrain. So these 2 packs do sort of work together, which is interesting because which is interesting that the Fires of Pompeii set and the Sea Devils are the ones my dad wanted, and interestingly they share those like water and heat rules. But yeah, I think you're also allowed to just use your own sort of water terrain if you want to. I personally like the idea of putting a like a toilet on the board and just having them like jump in a toilet and jump out across the map, because these guys can move through water to any other part of water. Okay, so the weapons we've got, Heat Ray, that's energy, short ranged, and hand weapon. I think we already know what all of that does. That's going to give us 4 shooting dice, meaning we have 6 in total. And our improvised melee weapon is going to give us 4 melee dice to defend ourselves with, so that's pretty good as well. The final thing we're going to go through there is concentrated fire. So let's get old handles open and have a look at what that does. So concentrate fire right there, right in the line of fire of the camera straight off the bat. A weapon or character with this trait may choose to concentrate fire on one target. For every character beyond the first, add 1 combat die to the shooting roll. Okay, we're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to get the erratas and FAQ list on that one. Okay, it's really quite simple, but isn't really explained here. Okay, basically, this allows other characters to concentrate fire on one character. So essentially, it allows you to sacrifice shots from these two guys. So say these three were together, you could, instead of having all three of them attack, you could have just the middle guy attack with +2 shooting dice. Meaning if it was this guy, you'd end up with 8, which is pretty good. So you can sacrifice having extra chances at attacks for the sake of making one better attack. And that is probably one of the more poorly worded powers in the Guide to the Time Vortex. But it is what it is. We are looking forward to that 2nd edition. So that's the Sea Devil Overlord. Next, we have Sea Devils. Next we have Sea Devil Ancients. Let's have a look at them. So Sea Devil Ancients, they're like the elite unit in this 3-pack. They have 5 movement, 4 resilience, +2 melee dice, and +2 shooting dice. So they lose 1 melee dice on the Overlord. They only come in with 1 fate token. They aren't a special character, and they keep this aquatic and concentrated fire. Now this is kind of quite typical of what you get in the 3-figure sets. They're usually quite vanilla, sort of like this. The Sea Devils are pretty cool, but a lot of the characters are quite like this, where the grunts just don't really do an awful lot. That's fine. But it does mean that some of the 3-figure sets are a bit boring because they just don't really do an awful lot. And we'll move on here to the final card, which is Sea Devils. Now these have the exact same thing, except like most lowest level grunts, they also have the agent ability, so you can use these guys on any team, which sort of makes the force commander restriction on this guy a little bit pointless. Yeah, it stops this guy from being used with anything other than Sea Devils, but like, yeah, there's not much else you'd chuck on. Other than that, more or less exactly the same as the Sea Devil Ancients, just losing 1 resilience there. But one thing you may or may not have noticed here is that the unit count in the corner here. So you play this card, you get 1 Overlord. But if you play this card, you get 2 Ancients. Which means you can play a 3-pack as a 2-card team right here. And that'll cover all 3 of your minis. But the 3rd comes in with 3 minis. So basically, you're going to use 1 mini for your Overlord, 2 minis for your Ancients, and then you've got none left to do the Sea Devils. And that's basically the issue with the 3-figure sets. Now, this does allow you to just use the Sea Devils as an agent on a given team. That's fine. But basically, it means you need at least 1 more copy of the minis to be able to play a team effectively. Because if you get the 3rd set of minis, you fill in the 3 you're missing, jobs are good, and that's fine. Another issue in this instance is that, as you may notice from the card artwork, none of the artworks actually match up with the sculpt. Again, this is fine, because you can obviously just decide which you want. I kind of like looking at this guy as the Overlord. However, one issue with this is that once you start bringing in more than 1 pack of these guys, you're going to have 1 unique sculpt for the Overlord, a unique sculpt for the Ancients, and a unique sculpt for the Sea Devils. So that means you're going to have 3 copies of one guy, 2 copies of another guy, and then 1 copy of the final guy. However, you're going to have to use your additional copies of this guy and this guy to represent other guys. So you're going to have 3, say we bought 3 copies, we'd have 3 of each of these minis. So if we wanted to do 3 Sea Devils, that's fine. And if we wanted to do 3 Ancients, and if we wanted to do 2 Ancients of the same sculpt, that's fine. And if we wanted to do 1 Overlord of the same sculpt, that's fine. But if we had the 3rd copy, the reason we would have the 3rd copy is because of one of the adventure cards. Now this gets a little bit confusing because this looks like a recruitment card, but it's actually an adventure card. This is a Sea Devil Reinforcements. Now this is a typical adventure card that you get with all of the 3-figure expansions like this. It's an adventure card that can only be used by the Sea Devil Overlord, and it essentially allows you reinforcements of 3 more Sea Devils. So for an adventure card you can take during the game, you can get 3 more reinforcements. But the problem is, if you're going to use this, then those 3 Sea Devils again, say we had 3 of this sculpt and we were representing these with 2 of this sculpt, we'd have 1 left over of this sculpt and 2 left over of this sculpt. So basically you have to paint these in a unique way to tell the difference between them, because the sculpts are going to have to overlap, and that is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. It sort of makes sense to do things this way, because obviously then you have to buy the 3 copies to make a proper team. That makes sense. That's nothing new there. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh! You have to buy 3 structure decks to get the structure, to get their full deck, and so on. There's not much extra to say about this card. It's literally just a copy of the Sea Devils. It's literally just an extra copy for the cost of 1 adventure card. As you can see, it's got all the weapons and details written on the bottom. No, nothing written on the back, obviously, because it's an adventure card. So basically, we're going to have to check these out from the other cards. And from the other cards, after that, we've got 2 more adventure cards. We have Sonic Summoning. Eerie Sonic Pulses summon additional Sea Devils to the scene. Discard this card to return up to 3 exterminated Sea Devil characters to the game. You must be placed in a friendly deployment area. Fair enough. It's a very good card. It resurrects 3 infantry, basically. Although it can resurrect the Overlord as well. It can resurrect anything, really, as long as it's a Sea Devil. The only thing it can't do is bring more in from outside the game. But it's a pretty good card. And next we have Terror from the Deep. Exhaust this card in the friendly movement or shooting subphase to move up to 4 Sea Devil characters from 1 water obstacle to another, wherever on the table it may be. The Sea Devil's new location cannot be less than 2 inches from an enemy character. Now, that's incredible. That is the main appeal of the Sea Devils for me, is the fact that they can just jump into some water and jump out somewhere else. So I totally want to use like a toilet as water terrain and have them jump in the toilet and jump out in like an ocean or something. Just something daft like that. Anyway, this has been a bit of a longer video than normal because of me ranting on about the sculpts and stuff. But basically, this is a really cool set. There's a reason these dudes are so popular with the people who are playing the game. These seem to be like the most commonly painted figures you sort of see popping up in the Facebook group. They're a very cool bunch of dudes. They're very good. If you're wanting to try something different, they're very cool for that as well. You know, they play in a different way to everything else. They're a little bit less vanilla than your usual 3-figure expansion. And, you know, they're pretty good. They're capable guys. They have really cool sculpts. I can't really say much more in favour of the Sea Devils. So, basically, that's been my video today on the Sea Devils expansion. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.